Thank you, Rick. Welcome to the 36th Marine Corps Marathon Weekend. My name is Mark Goldman. I'm a proud member of the Marine Corps Marathon organizing staff. I'd like to thank all the members of the media, our featured speakers, invited guests, runners, sponsors, and friends of the Corps for joining us at today's press conference and all of those who are watching us online. The Marine Corps Marathon press conference today will not be talking about cash awards, world records, elite athletes. Other races highlight that approach. That is not what this event is about. The Marine Corps Marathon will welcome 30,000 motivated individuals to the nation's capital this weekend who sold out the race in a record 28 hours. Runners from every state and 52 countries, more than 10,000 first-time marathoners, and over 8,000 members of the armed forces. Each is here to accomplish something very personal, very significant, and very meaningful. A marathon celebrates a distance traveled, and for so many, the 26.2 miles for which they will receive a rotating Eagle, Globe, and Anchor medal, that is the shortest distance they will have to overcome to achieve this monumental accomplishment. There are mental hurdles and emotional challenges often more daunting than running through the streets of the nation's capital on what I promise will be a lovely October morning. Some will be here to pay tribute to a loved one currently serving our country, or to honor a fallen child, friend, parent, or relative. Others demonstrated defiance in the face of illness, whether their own or that of a loved one. We welcome those that are looking for a new path in life, having returned from battle broken or not whole. And there are those who use the marathon as a tool to reform their lifestyle and introduce physical fitness. Many run to conquer a distance that once seemed unreachable, and you don't have to look very far to find the red, white, and blue wearing, flag-waving individuals who are simply at the Marine Corps Marathon to demonstrate their love of country. This patriotic practice has become an increasingly evident component of the Marine Corps Marathon over the past 10 years, since the attacks of September 2001. That the terrorist strike had an impact on the marathon demonstrates how far-reaching the tentacles of disruption were a decade ago. At that time, the Pentagon grounds provided a significant portion of the marathon mileage. And so when the Pentagon was hit just 47 days prior to the 26th Marine Corps Marathon, miles 4 through 6 of the course essentially became a crime scene. With just 6 weeks until the Marine Corps Marathon, runners wondered if their canceled flights would be rescheduled, and if so, would they be brave enough to board a plane? And a bigger question tormenting the minds of runners as they continued their fall training runs was, would there even be a Marine Corps Marathon? To continue with the Marine Corps Marathon that year required the Marines to devise the most ambitious, comprehensive security plan for a marathon ever. They built a 360-degree perimeter around the finish line with high visibility and undercover law enforcement personnel, chemical and biological units surveying the course, and flyovers amidst the current no-fly regulations of the day. And when just a week out from the event, then Commandant General Jones approved this security plan, and the Pentagon approved the course that routed runners just 40 yards from the damaged building, significant numbers of runners rejoiced at the opportunity to run the race, and in doing so, stare down those who had attacked this country. For many who organized the event and for those who ran it, it was an experience that unfolds in their memories in slow motion. Those that have shared their recollections speak about the sensory aspect, dizzying silence on the course, punctuated only by the breathing of those around them and the sounds of feet hitting the pavement. Impromptu tributes along the course, supportive interactions with the construction workers at the Pentagon sites, and an unparalleled level of patriotic fervor. Please welcome Dave Watt to share some thoughts about the 2001 Marine Corps Marathon. Dave is the executive director of the American Running Association. However, 10 years ago, he managed the marathon's marketing and sponsorship program. Dave.
Well, I got to thank Rick and staff for inviting an old fossil back. When I got the call from Mark last Friday, it certainly brought back some vivid memories and something that we all never forgot, both from a planning and just from an experience standpoint. This past weekend, after I talked to Mark in my current job, I was promoting a high school cross-country race that we produce, and two words came to mind that helped inspire us, and I think inspired all the runners that year. Basically, determination and inspiration. I saw a boy this past weekend who was not expected to win a race. He wasn't even in the listed top 3 or 4 athletes. I knew this individual. I'd seen him run since he was in 8th grade. His mother's fighting stage 4 bone cancer. Not too many people knew about it. In any case, he surged the lead. He came across with 1,000 to go. He was dueling with one kid. And then he came down the finish line and just stretched it out for the win. And the reason I kind of use those two words, inspiration and determination, is that in what I saw with that individual and with what his mother had inspired in him to achieve greatness, I think as a staff, as the Marine Corps, Department of the Navy, runners from across all 50 states and across the Atlantic especially, because Europeans, I think, were terrified of coming to the United States at that time frame. We were basically determined to make a stand that at the Marine Corps Marathon, we had to just keep things going, to bring normalcy back to both the running industry and I think to just the public in general. And I think that was a sense that us as the staff kind of took arms with and carried forth that day, and from 9/11 right up till the day of the 28th. I know that there were a lot of other things that happened that weekend that everybody had their little moments. I think us as a staff, we just took it on as a planning evolution that just had to be. And I know that Rick was dealing with the higher-ups within the Department of the Navy and the Marine Corps to make sure that we had a plan that could be executed and carried out that day. We did the same thing, from getting standard stuff that isn't pretty in the event business, from porta-johns to ordering 20,000 bananas and making sure that the sponsors would be there and in support. And of all the events I've been involved with in the 15, 20 years I've been in this industry, it was the one time that I didn't have to worry about a sponsor or just an entity that was involved with the race worried about the exposure of their logo, their image, and their brand. It was all about unifying together and making sure we put on the best possible event that day. And if people who were there that particular day, I know I was standing with, I think Angus Phillips of the Washington Post was asked to cover it. And he normally wasn't somebody who covered running, but he was there that day, and we looked up in the sky, and it was eerily reminiscent of 9/11. It was a clear blue day, perfect weather conditions. You wouldn't know that there was security personnel everywhere, and it was just something that we just kind of sat back and just said, you know, we did it. This was something we're all very proud of. So that to me is something I know that I'll carry forward. I know that Rick, Angela, and many of the other staff people and people who were serving that day will always remember. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. The Marine Corps Marathon shares some of the recollections of our runners and looks back at 2001 with an article in our official event program, Salute Magazine, which some of you may have grabbed on your way in. Additionally, Sunday's opening ceremonies include several special components meant as a tribute to all those who lost their lives 10 years ago and in defense of our freedom since, as well as everyone currently in harm's way. The most inspiring moment will occur on Sunday morning at 7:20, when Lance Corporal Michael Boucher will perform the first tandem jump into the Marine Corps Marathon start. A very recent amputee, Boucher is a Marine combat engineer who was injured on June 12th, just 4 months ago, when an IED exploded as he was performing a sweep for explosives in Afghanistan. Currently, the 23-year-old is in outpatient treatment and therapy at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. During the tandem jump into the start, Boucher will be strapped to Master Jumper Sergeant First Class Michael Elliott and will be joined by retired Army Ranger Sergeant First Class Dana Bowman, also a double amputee. They will also be joined on the jump by retired Marine Colonel John Bates, and they will perform the jump with steerable canopies while carrying the American flag. The jumpers will land directly adjacent to the MCM start line on Route 110 in Arlington, Virginia. I'd like to invite Colonel John Bates up for a quick comment on the jump upcoming on Sunday.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. My dealings with Rick Nealis, race director, go back many, many years, but my association with the Marine Corps Marathon go back further than that. That was the very first, I ran the second Marine Corps Marathon, and that was the first, which happened to be my first, with a time I still recall of 3:23, and I was very proud of it, and then the good news is things got better. Now, what I'd like to tell you about the jump is that Dana Bowman is on his way now. Hopefully you'll get a chance to meet him before this is over. Dana Bowman is a double amputee, as was mentioned, and you will see him Sunday morning. Lance Corporal Brosher, again, he lost his legs in Afghanistan, and he'll be tandemed in by Michael Elliott, who was President Bush Sr.'s tandem master for his last two jumps. So it's got a very professional crew. We're very excited to do this. So what we ask is that you pray for blue skies and light winds, and we will try to do this wood. And by the way, we'll be getting out at approximately 6,000 feet because FAA requires that the opening sequence start at 5,500 for a tandem. I'll be the first on the ground. I'm the popcorn. They're the show. You will find that Lance Corporal Brosher is a highly motivated individual. I've contacted him, but I've not actually met him in person yet. But to follow this, I represent the Wounded Warriors out of Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. He will be coming back on the 4th of December to do another similar jump representing the Wounded Warriors. Other than that, I would just like to tell you that we are absolutely honored to be here. And Steve, I'll tell you what, we go back way back when too. So it's just like a homecoming to come back here. Unfortunately, my knees, I need new knees before I can do another marathon, but once I get them, I promise I'll be back. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Colonel. In addition to Lance Corporal Boucher's jump and the others landing between 7:18 and 7:21, the opening ceremonies will include the presence of a second color guard. Arlington County Fire Department color guard will stand adjacent to the Marine Corps Base Quantico ceremonial platoon in recognition of the relationship between Arlington County and the Marine Corps Marathon and in honor of those first responders who worked so selflessly 10 years ago. The ceremonial tributes will conclude with a firearms salute by the Marines and a firing NCO from Marine Barracks, Washington. And while this is unfolding in Arlington, Virginia, about 6,900 miles away, the Marine Corps Marathon will host satellite marathons around the world. Touted as MCM Forward, service members have gathered to participate in the 26.2-mile test of endurance in excruciating heat, onboard ships, and in unfriendly terrain as part of a program that began in 2006. This year, in conjunction with the 36th Marine Corps Marathon, events will be held in Afghanistan and aboard treadmills on the USS George Bush. Wonderful video technology affords us the opportunity to learn firsthand about the MCM Forward in Afghanistan.
I'm running the Marine Corps Marathon in Afghanistan because it gives me something to focus on for improving myself.
The workup and the evolution you learn in a marathon is something that can't be duplicated any other way.
I've pretty much never ran long distance before. I've done a couple 5Ks.
I figured it'd be something different to try, and I've been wanting to run a marathon for a couple of years now.
It's definitely an outlet out here. You know, you work a lot.
It's a bit more challenging here because of the altitude and the elements.
There's not a lot of pavement. Got to watch where you're walking.
The road conditions aren't the greatest. Pretty rocky, a lot of gravel, and it doesn't smell too great. I guess my message to the people running the marathon back home would be, you know, just when you hit that wall during your race, just think about that Marine that's outside the wire. And, you know, when he hits his wall, he can't quit, so neither should you.
I'm Master Sergeant Joel Whitmore.
My name's Lieutenant Christopher Piercy.
First Lieutenant Padriak approved.
Hi, I'm Gunnery Sergeant Jonathan Stansel, and I'm running the Marine Corps Marathon at Camp Leatherneck, Afghanistan.
That'll keep you going on Sunday, right? And so while there are hundreds of Marines participating in the MCM from afar, there are 2,000 Marines and sailors taking to the streets of Arlington and the nation's capital to execute with precision the organization of this massive event. The mission of the Marine Corps Marathon is to promote physical fitness, generate goodwill, and showcase the organizational skills of the United States Marine Corps. This is a military operation, and every detail, from placing cones on street corners to handing out bibs, from pouring Gatorade to presenting medals, is in the hands of Marines. This year, the Marines will support operations on a new course, the first significant change to the MCM in several years. The new course features a start closer to the Pentagon, with a different approach to the rear of the Lincoln Memorial at mile 10, and a brand new tour of Independence Avenue in miles 15 and 16. The Marines you will encounter are not volunteers. Instead, they are part of a highly defined organizational structure that starts with the education of special project officers and trickles down to each Marine on the course, executing his duty in support of the safety and well-being of every participant. I'd like to welcome up Colonel Brennan, who serves as the commander of troops on Marine Corps Marathon Day, operating out of Marine Command Operations Center, to detail the essential Marine component of the Marine Corps Marathon.
Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for having me up here. This is a special event for me. This is my 9th Marine Corps Marathon that I'm some way affiliated, either running or working on it. As Mark said, we got about 2,000 Marines and sailors that are going to be out supporting the marathon, doing everything from water points, mixing Gatorade, to the food stations, to the aid stations that our Navy sailors and corpsmen will be at, and the doctors that are out there. This is the culmination of about 6 months of some pretty hard work and a lot of effort on a lot of people's parts, both on the marathon staff and my staff, to put this together. This Sunday's the culminating event to see if we got it right. I'm pretty sure we did. This has been run for this is the 36th one. We've been successful every one before this. We're going to be successful at this one. This is going to be a great event. It always is. It's the Marine Corps Marathon. It's a special event. And I hope you all will enjoy it this weekend as much as I'm going to. I'm really looking forward to it. Mark?
The Marine Corps Marathon is a gathering this weekend of runners, spectators, friends, family, and residents. It's a weekend of activity and excitement. For the runner, you cover the 26.2-mile distance. For the 100,000 spectators, though, they hustle around Arlington and D.C., trying to catch a glimpse of their favorite runner as they pass by. And then there are those loved ones who are rooting from back home at a computer monitor, because spectating no longer requires you being on site. In fact, it doesn't even require you knowing your friend is even running anymore. Technology has afforded the sport of marathon many great benefits, and the timing device that is attached to the reverse side of every runner's bib will capture their split times every 5K, and the internet will host live results on course throughout the morning. But the new technology that's being introduced this year will push runner timing data out every 10K via text message, email, or to a participant's Facebook wall or Twitter account. So now, relatives, close friends, casual acquaintances, work associates, high school classmates, old girlfriends will all be able to follow a runner's triumphant progress along the course in real time and cheer virtually. Now, responsible for introducing this technology this weekend to the MCM is Mr. David Sims. Mr. David Sims.
Hello, everyone. We're very excited to work with the Marine Corps Marathon in more of an official capacity for the first time. We've been with the Marine Corps Marathon, me personally, and with my ex-partner Mike Burns for 16 years. A lot of people don't know this, but live results was pretty much introduced here at the Marine Corps Marathon in '98 in North America, along with text messaging. Thank you, Rick and Angela. What we've done now is we've always wanted to be innovative with the Marine Corps Marathon. And instead of me just doing it on the side and coming in, we said, let's make it official and let's really do this. And this is the outcome, what you're seeing. And thanks to Rick, Angela, and their staff, we've been able to do some pretty nice things for Marine Corps this year. You're going to see for the first time, like they were saying, messaging from, we're just tying in social media, which everybody knows is very big right now. Just look at your phones and everybody, what your kids are doing and what you're doing. We're tying it all into the marathon, and we're wrapping it in a nice package. On race day, it's not just that you can get a text message, Facebook, Twitter, and an email for the event. That in and of itself is fantastic, but we're going to tie it into when you go to the Facebook leaderboard for the Marine Corps Marathon. It's never been done at any event in the world. You will see live in their Facebook a link which says leaderboard results, and you will see live how the top runners are doing on the Facebook page. You can also do that real time from the results website, but what we're doing, what's fresh, is we're tying it all together. You will be, as you go look at your live results on your mobile devices, this is nothing new in the world. Instead of doing apps, tell you the truth, I'm getting a little tired of apps because you always have to download something. What we're doing is what a lot of websites are doing now, where you go to the Washington Post or you go to Google. If you're on your smartphone, it automatically adapts to your smartphone. You have to download an app, it just works. That's what you're gonna see with the Marine Corps Marathon this year. When you go look up your results, or you wanna go map track a runner, or you want to look at a leaderboard, or if you're even doing messaging, you can be on this, you can be on your tablet, you can be on your desktop, whatever medium you have, it's all nicely tied together for you. So I really want to thank, like I said, the Marine Corps staff for giving me the opportunity to do this, and because it's just been a pleasure and an honor and a blessing to be able to do this. And since we decided to do this, it's also opened up things to other road races around the world. We just did our first event in Shanghai using similar information with their social media, events in Germany and throughout Europe, Singapore, the whole JP Morgan Corporate Challenge worldwide. And it all started with us just sitting down, flying in, doing our normal kind of bull session meeting of what are we going to do this year. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think you guys are really going to enjoy what you're going to be able to see and how much information we can give to you for this great event.
Thanks, David. We've had quite a frenzy on our Facebook page this year. We are eclipsing 37,000 friends on there, so please join us and join the conversation on Facebook for Marine Corps Marathon. In addition to the results-based technology, the MCM, in partnership with a company in Bethesda called Geocentric, has developed a mobile web locator application. Like David said, it's just logging onto a website. If you go to mcmlocator.com, using your iPhone or your Android phone browser, the app will provide directions and approximate distance from the user's location to various on-course sites. This is not meant to track runners, but it instead is a service to the spectators and volunteers who are moving around on race day. So it will help them find an exact water point, an exact mile marker, and we encourage people to use mcmlocator.com. If you are a runner and you are using Locator and you're not on the course, things have gone terribly wrong for you. One runner certain to be tracked by many will be running his first marathon on Sunday. He crushed his time goal at the Marine Corps Historic Half earlier this year and makes good on his promise to run a marathon this weekend. He celebrates his time in the Marine Corps by wearing bib number 235. He is familiar, funny, and friendly Drew Carey from The Drew Carey Show, The Price is Right, and Whose Line Is It Anyway? Please welcome first-time marathoner and our ceremonial starter for the 36th Marine Corps Marathon, Drew Carey.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, how about that? Fat celebrity is going to run his first marathon. A lot of people ask me how I lost the weight, what I did, how I prepared for the marathon, and it's real simple. I just took a magic pill. That's all it takes. I saw an ad in the back of a magazine and got a 30-day supply of this pill. Not a lot of doctors know about it. It's from Europe, special formula. Limited time offer. And I just had to pay postage and handling. It was all guaranteed. I just took this one pill. I lost the weight and I'm ready to go. I wish it was that easy, honestly. I was reading some statistics about marathons, and there's like something like 0.15% of the population runs a marathon every year. And I think that number is high because they don't include repeat marathoners. They just take the number of people that enter marathons and divide it into the population. That's how they come up with the total. And now and it's such a small number, and now I know why. It is really a pain in the neck. seriously, I'm well familiar with what my hip flexors are. I don't even know what they were called before. Now I know exactly where my hip flexors are and what they do. And it really is like a big time commitment and a commitment of effort. And you can lose weight so many other simpler ways, man. You don't have to run marathon. But I'm so glad to do it. And I wanted to do the Marine Corps Marathon, especially because of my time in the Marine Corps Reserves. Because, you know, I used to run, back then I ran like 10Ks. That's all I did. And then I thought to myself, one day I'm going to run a marathon. When I do, it's going to be the Marine Corps Marathon. And I got fat. And then when I started losing weight and I started running again, I was like, oh man, I should do the Marine Corps Marathon. My first half marathon was a Marine Corps half, and I wanted my first marathon to be the Marine Corps Marathon. So I'm excited to be here. I don't know how I'm going to do. I can't promise anything, but if I take enough magic pills, maybe I'll get through it. I really am humbled, by the way, being around all these other people that are just, you know, like, been here so many times and run so many marathons. And where's the 90-year-old guy that's running the marathon? Where's he? Oh, there he is, right there. Yeah, my hat's off to you. When I'm 90, I want to come back here and run this marathon. Yeah, goal number 1, live to be 90. Goal number 2, run the marathon while you're at it. So honestly, God bless all of you guys, and hats off to you, and thanks for putting on such a great event and letting me be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Drew. You always seem to make promises when you get behind our microphone, so we'll see you when you're 90. Marathon opening ceremonies begin at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. They will include Lance Corporal Boucher's jump, the United We Sing USO troop performing the national anthem, an Osprey flyover, and of course 30,000 amazing runners. We expect the first finisher to cross as early as 10:20 in the morning, and the last finisher, who will receive, as I drop things, the Paul the Penguin Award. This is actually the Paul the Penguin Award. You're going for it? Colonel Mendes? All right. We all have our goals. So it's about 3:20, so you've got about 7 hours to hit that. The first group of marathon runners to charge onto the course on Sunday, however, will be the largest contingent of wheelchair and hand cycle participants in the event's history. The honor of firing the starting pistol for these runners belongs to a Marine, a Vietnam veteran, and an actor who is well known for his role in the HBO series The Wire. Please welcome John Doman.
Hi, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm really intimidated because I'm not a runner, not planning on running in the marathon. I've never run a marathon. The farthest I ever got was 5K. But so, Drew, if you're feeling intimidated, think how I feel. The 36 marathon, I thought, boy, that's a long time, and I realized it's been 41 years since I left the Marine Corps. But as every Marine here knows, you don't ever really leave the Marine Corps. Or maybe I should say the Marine Corps never really leaves you. It was a very profound experience for me, and has really affected the rest of my life in many ways, particularly at some critical points. When I first, when I got out of the Corps, I went to graduate school. I wanted to get a job in New York in the advertising business, and I went up and started knocking on doors at agencies trying to find that first job. And in the elevator of one of the agencies, I ran into a Marine that I knew from basic school, and he was an up-and-coming star at that agency. Needless to say, I got the job because I didn't find out from him, but I learned later that he went into the personnel office and said, "You got to hire that guy." And at another critical junction, 20 years later, when I decided to change careers and become an actor, I wanted to find an acting teacher. And there was a very well-known acting teacher in New York City. And I called and left a message for him about 3 or 4 times. He never returned my call. So finally, I went to a studio and stuck my resume under his door. That night, I got a call. He said, "Come in, we'll have an interview." And I couldn't understand why I got such a quick response until I walked in the door, and there was the Marine Corps flag in one corner and an Eagle Globe and anchor up on the wall. He was a Korean Marine, and I spent 2 years studying with him. And I really have to give him a lot of credit for any success I have in the acting business. So I'm here because I'm a Marine, not because I'm a runner, and it's a pleasure to be here and an honor. Thank you.
Thanks, John. The Marine Corps Marathon at its core is really about three things: runners, Marines, and the wonderful landmarks that highlight our course. For the first 10 years of this event, the Marine Corps Marathon logo was simply a borrowed eagle, globe, and anchor that is more familiar as the icon of the United States Marine Corps. Around the 13th MCM, the artwork changed and it started to represent runners in front of monuments. My favorite is the one year where we boasted a Rambo-looking character charging through the streets of DC, bursting through the words, "Marathon for a drug-free America." Exactly 20 years ago, the most famous landmark on the course, the finish line, the Marine Corps War Memorial, was taken and placed inside a triangle, and ever since this graphic has served as the event's identifying mark. Today I'm pleased to invite up Jeff Caparizzo from Bates Creative Group, partner of the Marine Corps Marathon, who has worked with us to speak about the next evolution of the Marine Corps Marathon mark. We'll be unveiling after the 36th Marathon a new logo that celebrates the runners, the Marines, and the important landmarks on our course, and we will share that logo with you today. Jeff?
Thank you, Mark. Bates Creative Group, the work with Marine Corps Marathon resonates with us in two ways. One, as obviously Americans. We also do work with the Marine Corps magazine. And every time I run into the Corps and the stories around the Corps, we're inspired, just as all of you are, folks who are connected with the Corps and the Corps, but also just Americans and know the great service that these men and women do for this country. The other way it resonates with us is as athletes. We've got 5 of us running in the 10K. We've got some marathoners as well in there. This is my first 10K with the Marines, but if it's up to my boss, I'll be running the marathon relatively soon. Whew. Anyway, okay. So the logo, as we like to approach identity at its best should be a doorway to an idea. It shouldn't be just a pretty design. So the ideas that we're trying to represent with this logo mark actually detailed, which is the marathon is about 3 things. It's about obviously this beautiful landscape that the marathon takes its runners through, this idea of a runner's experience. A lot of runners reference the fact that this marathon especially is so picturesque, it's so organized, it's laid out in such a way that it really is a great experience for a runner. The runners themselves, and then of course the Corps. Those are the concepts that you should see reflected behind me here. You can see with the Corps, obviously the iconic Iwo Jima structure that we all know, and that helps define not only the efforts of the Marines and everything they stand for, but also the fabric of this country. The second part is the motion and movement of a runner. You might see a bent knee with the runners there, that actual forward motion that runners have. So you've got the reflection there of the act of running and what a marathon is about for an athlete. And then finally, the landscape of that I just referenced for the marathon itself, in that it does go by all of the memorials in our capital city, and it does show that type of artifact or that type of scenery. All of that is collapsed into the logo itself. From the design standpoint, you'll see here the legacy logo. We did want to take that triangular shape and also the Iwo Jima iconography, and we just simplified it and tried to have that type of reference and visual tie-in so that there would be a continuity with the legacy of 36 years that we're celebrating here today. So hopefully that all is tied up in a nice visual bundle, and it's something that'll stick in not only your brains, but in the brains of anybody who has contact with the marathon moving forward. Again, we wanted to reflect the caliber of the people, the caliber of the race, and also the fact that this is a generational story that's going to continue. We wanted to build something that did honor to that, and I think we achieved it. So thank you, Mark, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Good afternoon. I'm Tammy Ferrum, Public Relations Coordinator for the Marathon. As we've discussed today, there are many special and inspiring stories of runners who have achieved their goals this weekend at the Marine Corps Marathon. And I'm pleased to make a special note of some of these runners today. McConan flew all the way to Washington, D.C. from his native Ethiopia just this week to take part in his very first Marine Corps Marathon. McConan, would you like to stand? McConan is hoping to beat the MCM all-time fastest record of 2:14:01 set by Jeff Scuffins in 1987. McConan's personal best is 2:12, so he's expecting to complete a fast finish of about 2:11. So good luck. Daryl General. Daryl? Daryl is not only a two-time winner of the 1995 and 1997 events, where he set MCM records. He also is a prestigious member of the MCM Hall of Fame and one of only 4 Americans who have qualified for marathon running in 5 Olympic trials from 1998 to 2004. Daryl ran his first MCM, he tells me, when he was 17, and he's about to run his 8th at age 45. He's still among the elites for this year, expecting to finish in 2:25. And showing that age is never an issue, retired U.S. Marine Colonel Jonathan Mendez is about to run his second MCM at age 90. Colonel Mendez? Colonel Mendez is a recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross. He flew Navy Scout bombers during World War II and in the Korean War. You might know a couple of his flying buddies, Senator John Glenn and Baseball Hall of Famer, the late Ted Williams. Kara Golias. Kara is the youngest MCM participant. And please all wish her a happy birthday. She's going to celebrate her birthday this Sunday on October 30th with 30,000 others. Kara is a local high school student from Fairfax, Virginia, who's running with her sister, 16-year-old Kelsey, and her father, Michael. He's a 7-time MCM finisher, and he's pretty inspirational. He's also a member of the MCM Runners Club. Celebrating a birthday of a different sort is our Marine Corps Captain, Jason Duquesne. Jason's been running since October 15th, every day for 15 miles to celebrate 236 miles to the MCM finish. Jason started his race in Tun Tavern, Philadelphia, which is both a significant marker and certainly the birth of the Marine Corps in 1775. Throughout his daily journey from Philly all the way to D.C., Duquesne has honored 236 fallen service members. And Sergeant Joni Jones, here in the front. Sergeant Jones will participate in his first marathon. He was injured from an IED blast while serving in Afghanistan. And before he was injured, he met Terry McCarthy, a CBS News journalist who was embedded with their unit. The two have remained friends. Terry's sitting next to him. Terry and Johnny, would you please stand up? They have remained friends, and like I said, Terry will be running the marathon while Johnny completes it in a hand cycle. The story Terry documented about the first Marines in Afghanistan has also just won an Emmy. Since 1998, members of the U.S. Armed Forces have held competition within the Marine Corps Marathon. We'd like today to recognize U.S. Marine Corps running team captain, Colonel Steve Peterson, and his running mates, Caitlin Copeland. And Caitlin is also Female Athlete of the Year for the Marine Corps. And Tyler Hubbard, Sergeant Tyler Hubbard. Tyler has won additional events for the Marine Corps. Tyler's won top honors at the Historic Half, the Run to Register 10K, and at the Turkey Trot. Is Alex here? Okay. Anna Irwin is here to represent Robert Swan. Anna, here she is. Anna is representing Robert. Robert is going to run the marathon. He's both an explorer and an environmentalist. He is the first person to trek both the North and South Poles. He's running his first Marine Corps Marathon, and he is our featured speaker at the Carbo Dining Inn tomorrow night. During his address, he will announce 2 wounded warriors who will go with him on his next expedition in 2012. And everyone knows that running a marathon is challenging, but 6-time Marine Corps Marathon runner Liz Mealy, she makes marathon running look not only easy, but fun. Liz says that comedy is like therapy with punchlines, and her wit has taken her to comedic heights. She's appeared both on Comedy Central and The Ellen DeGeneres Show, and she'll be keeping it all in the family when she's running with her little brother, Greg. And please help me welcome our ground pounders, Mel Williams, Al Richmond, and Matt Jaffe. Please all stand. These gentlemen have run every Marine Corps marathon since 1976, and they are members of our distinguished Hall of Fame. So thank you for all being here. And I'd also like to recognize First Sergeant Dana Bowman, who came in just after we had talked about the jump. Dana is going to be doing the tandem jump with Michael Boucher. Thank you for being here, Dana. Everyone knows that, I'm sorry, and please help me welcome Mr. Rick Nealis. Rick is not only the man who's guided the Marine Corps Marathon and to its current standing as both 5th largest in the country and 9th largest in the world. He's helped us be recognized as the marathon to run for first-timers. He is both the director of the Marine Corps Marathon and a member of the Running USA Hall of Champions. Let's all welcome Mr. Rick Nealis.
Thanks, Tammy. A Marine Corps Marathon press meeting, and I haven't heard one oorah. So how about it? Give me a good oorah. All right, now I'm motivated. Now I'm ready to get this thing started. Let me tell you some of the things that let me get, oorah gets me all tensed up here. Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream of things that never were and say why not. You know, I talk about dreams, and those words of Robert Francis Kennedy, you know, when he spoke, the I that he talks about are the runners and the Marines who come to the Marine Corps Marathon on this very special day on Sunday, October 30th. Over 10,000 first-time marathoners will be achieving their dreams of being called for the rest of their lives marathon finishers. It's a, you know, our sport is a participatory sport. You don't stay on the sidelines and watch, you know, a basketball or football game. You get out and do it, and you live your dream. And for the rest of your life, wherever we go, we always remember, you know, what our personal best is. We remember that first marathon. I ran my 3 hours, 9 minutes, 15 seconds at Marine Corps in 1983. It stays with you, you know. I haven't got much faster, slowing down, but you remember those things, and that's the beauty of our sport. You know, first-timers pick Marine Corps. You know, there was a reason in 1994, you know, when I reached out to Oprah and stole her from Chicago Marathon and said, you know, if you want to run a race, you want to run it with the Marines. And she came, you know, and, you know, changed the landscape, changed our sport, you know, overnight. You know, in 1997, you know, President Al Gore, Vice President Al Gore, wanted to run his first marathon. He ran it with the Marines. You know, there's a reason for that. The Marine Corps produces and guarantees an organized event. Some of the same skills, some of the same values that Marines have, runners have. When you think about it, people who are dedicated, who are regiment, who are committed and have physical, you know, courage, who believe in health and fitness. Runners are really, in this day and age, role models. When you think about some of the role models our children have, you know, it's really people who run marathons are role models. They're really same values, same commitment that Marines have, whether we go to Paris Island, whether we go to San Diego as enlisted Marines, or as officers coming into Quantico. We all, Marines, learn dedication, commitment, how to execute, how to produce an event. And that's what the Marines are going to do on Sunday. They're going to allow all runners to focus on putting one foot in front of the other. Your job is to focus on 26.2 miles. It is a very, very long distance. But you don't have to worry about anything else, because the Marines and the sailors are going to take care of all your needs. They're going to clap for you. They're going to hand water to you. They're going to give you nourishment. And if you need a Band-Aid, you can go and see the doc in the medical tents. And when you come across that finish line, Mark talked about the medal. I'm not supposed to be doing this, but there it is. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love this medal this year. And the fact that it spins the globe, it makes it even more, makes me want to go out there and run it. This is what it is, Drew, right there. There it is. I talk about dreams, and we talked about Drew being here. And I'll have to correct Mark, because unless he was trying to, from a security standpoint, trying to throw out the wrong bib number. Drew's number is really 325. Oh, right. There you go. I knew that. And why is it 325? Because it's something special to Drew. It is the 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines that are based out of Cleveland, Ohio, in that region. And what's even more remarkable, when he's out there running, and we as runners, you got a lot of time to think when you're out there running. Whether you're running 2 hours and 30 minutes or you're running 7 hours, you have time to think, and you need things to motivate you. And probably one of the things I'm going to put in your bucket there for you to carry on race day is the fact that 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines, when they were activated in March of 1943, fought in some of the greatest battles of Marine history in World War II, and one of them was at Iwo Jima, and fought on that day. The commanding officer, Colonel Chambers, of the 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines, earned the Medal of Honor as he was killed that day. And and it's that connection, that not only are we focused on running, because really that's why we're here at the Marine Corps Marathon, but we even take it a little bit further, and we like to tie in history and traditions. So it really is important when we talk about 1775 on Miles, and there's a reason why he has that. That's the birth year of the Marine Corps. We know those things. We know about November 10th as our birthday. We know that Tun Tavern in Philadelphia was our birthplace. And it's those type of things, where people call pasta parties, or we call it dining in, and we try to bring those historic terms into our event. There's many dreams, there's one other, we are an international, Marines are all over the globe. That's one of the beauty of being in the running business. Marines are at the embassies, so when we go to the Berlin Marathon, or if we go to Prague, we know the Marines are there, and we can always stop in the embassy and see our Marines. And Marine Security Guard School is at Quantico, so each time I travel around the country, one of the first things these Marines will tell me as I go and visit them in the embassies around the world is, Mr. Nealis, you might remember me. I was at Water Point 4 when I was at Quantico. Oh, yes, I remember you, sure. We are, there's a special bond among Marines. And there you go. And, one of those things, as I traveled around in Athens in Greece a year ago, I got to meet the organizers that have a special bond with Boston. Boston is the brass ring of running. Someday I'm going to get there going through the front door. I can go in the back door and get into the race, but I don't want to. Someday I'm going to get fast enough, and they keep lowering it as you get older. So I figure maybe at 90 I might be able to get in at Boston. But Boston, Hopkinton, and the sister city of the Athens Marathon, which is marathon in Greece, have this special relationship. And 2 years ago, I went over to Greece. I wanted to see the Battle of Marathon and see where those Athenians are buried. And had the opportunity at that point to know that we had to do something special for our sport, because it's that military background that tied in running and where we are today, 2,500 years later. And we, the Marine Corps Marathon, has now, for the second year, will have gold, silver, and bronze wreaths that are basically come from the olive trees at Marathon, Greece, and will be given to our winners. And it's very unique, so we really appreciate, and in representing the Boston Athletic Association and the 26.2 organization is Tim Kilduff. Tim, can you stand up? We appreciate it. These wreaths, talk about dreams. I'll just, real short, that, the reason these wreaths come is from Dmitry Karakidis, and Dmitry is the son of Stylos Karakidis, and then he was the Boston Athletic champion in 1946. He got there driven by a dream that in 1943, when the German Nazis occupied his small town and a couple German soldiers were killed, they took 100 males, lined them up to execute them. As they went into their pockets and searched, for whatever valuables, they found his passport with the 1936 Berlin Olympics with the swastika in his passport. They pulled him out, the officer, and said, since you were at Berlin, you saw the Fuhrer, you live today. And they pulled him out, and they put another person in his place. And at that point, he said, I got to do something for my country. And he knew that running marathons was the way to do it. And from that day, he focused on winning a Boston Marathon. So really, the tie-in is just amazing with all we do. So I'm going to wrap it up. I got to brag about my pets. I was never a pet owner, but when I married my lovely wife, Joanne, I acquired a couple animals in this marriage. I have two dogs. I have Barbar, a Rottweiler, and Mosby, a Jack Russell. And we also have two cats. I don't know why they don't have names. They got letters, JD and LG. I haven't figured that all out. But so they're my animals and my pets and my dogs at home. But at work, I have two dogs. At Quantico, I am really unique that I have two bulldogs. One is Miles, and my lady bulldog is Molly. Miles, come on up, Miles. Why do I want Miles up here? Miles is living a dream on Sunday. Just like all 30,000 other human runners, Miles has been doing some training, and he's going to be running his very first 10K on Sunday. It's a family affair, and as a proud parent, when I'm on that finish line and my dog comes across, I think I'm choking up right now. So I'm not sure if this is not a 10K medal or I should have a dog bone, but either way, we're excited about Miles running his race. So with that, I appreciate everybody being here, and I'm going to turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Rick. Good luck, Miles. Thank you all for your attendance today. I wanted to call attention to two individuals who will be honored tonight as we induct them into the Marine Corps Marathon Hall of Fame, George Banker and Lieutenant General Carey, who will be our 2011 Hall of Fame class. And so we welcome you both and congratulate you on your distinguished affiliation with our event. All of the guests and runners, of course, will be happy and available to do interviews. The MCM staff is prepared to assist you with credentials or any information that you might need afterwards. MarineMarathon.com is the place to be online if you're not on site on Sunday, or the Facebook page, you heard all about that, or Twitter, so please follow us there. I also want to take one moment before we leave to show you a video of what's going on the USS George Bush with the MCM forward there. Thank you very much for your time and have a great Marine Corps Marathon weekend.
Good afternoon, runners of the Marine Corps Marathon. Captain Brian Lex Luthor here from the USS George H.W. Bush. I'd like to thank the Marine Corps Marathon for allowing us to run here while we are forward deployed off the shores of enduring freedom. Every little bit of America that we can bring to us here makes the deployment go a little faster, and we like the challenge of the few, the proud, the Marine. Good luck to everybody running in the 36th Marine Corps Marathon.
First time I ran the Marine Corps Marathon was in Washington, D.C., and the second time is now while I'm on a 7-month deployment on the USS George H.W. Bush.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Take your medal with you. This is top secret, Rick. And the sounds of feet hitting the pavement. Impromptu tributes along the course, supportive interactions with the construction workers at the Pentagon sites, and an unparalleled level of patriotic fervor. Please welcome Dave Watt to share some thoughts about the 2001 Marine Corps Marathon. Dave is the executive director of the American Running Association. However, 10 years ago, he managed the marathon's marketing and sponsorship program. Dave.
Well, I got to thank Rick and staff for inviting an old fossil back. When I got the call from Mark last Friday, it certainly brought back some vivid memories and something that we all never forgot, both from a planning and just from an experience standpoint. This past weekend, after I talked to Mark in my current job, I was promoting a high school cross-country race that we produce, and two words came to mind that helped inspire us, and I think inspired all the runners that year. Basically, determination and inspiration. I saw a boy this past weekend who was not expected to win a race. He wasn't even in the listed top 3 or 4 athletes. I knew this individual. I'd seen him run since he was in 8th grade.
Thank you, Rick. Welcome to the 36th Marine Corps Marathon weekend. My name is Mark Goldman. I'm a proud member of the Marine Corps Marathon organizing staff. I'd like to thank all the members of the media, our featured speakers, invited guests, runners, sponsors, and friends of the Corps for joining us at today's press conference and all of those who are watching us online. The Marine Corps Marathon press conference today will not be talking about cash awards, world records, elite athletes. Other races highlight that approach. That is not what this event is about. The Marine Corps Marathon will welcome 30,000 motivated individuals to the nation's capital this weekend who sold out the race in a record 28 hours. Runners from every state and 52 countries, more than 10,000 first-time marathoners, and over 8,000 members of the armed forces. Each is here to accomplish something very personal, very significant, and very meaningful. A marathon celebrates a distance traveled, and for so many, the 26.2 miles for which they will receive a rotating Eagle, Globe, and Anchor medal, that is the shortest distance they will have to overcome Marine Corps Marathon. Miles 4 through 6 of the course essentially became a crime scene. With just 6 weeks until the Marine Corps Marathon, runners wondered if their canceled flights would be rescheduled, and if so, would they be brave enough to board a plane? And a bigger question tormenting the minds of runners as they continued their fall training runs was, would there even be a Marine Corps Marathon? To continue with the Marine Corps Marathon that year required the Marines to devise the most ambitious, comprehensive security plan for a marathon ever. They built a 360-degree perimeter around the finish line with high visibility and undercover law enforcement personnel, chemical and biological units surveying the course, and flyovers amidst the current no-fly regulations of the day. And when just a week out from the event, then Commandant General Jones approved this security plan, and the Pentagon approved the course that routed runners just 40 yards from the damaged building, significant numbers of runners rejoiced at the opportunity to run the race, and in doing so, stare down those who had attacked this country. For many who organized the event and for those who ran it, it was an experience that unfolds in their memories in slow motion. Those that have shared their recollections speak about the sensory aspect, dizzying silence on the course, punctuated only by the breathing of those around them.
His mother's fighting stage 4 bone cancer. Not too many people knew about it. In any case, he surged the lead. He came across with 1,000 to go. He was dueling with one kid. And then he came down the finish line and just stretched it out for the win. And the reason I kind of use those two words, inspiration and determination, is that in what I saw with that individual and with what his mother had inspired in him to achieve greatness, I think as a staff, as the Marine Corps, Department of the Navy, runners from across all 50 states and across the Atlantic especially, because Europeans, I think, were terrified of coming to the United States at that time frame. We were basically determined to make a stand that at the Marine Corps Marathon, we had to just keep things going, to bring normalcy back to both the running industry and I think to just the public in general. And I think that was a sense that us as the staff kind of took arms with and carried forth that day, and from 9/11 right up till the day of the 28th. I know that there were a lot of other things that happened that weekend that everybody had their own
to achieve this monumental accomplishment. There are mental hurdles and emotional challenges often more daunting than running through the streets of the nation's capital on what I promise will be a lovely October morning. Some will be here to pay tribute to a loved one currently serving our country, or to honor a fallen child, friend, parent, or relative. Others demonstrated defiance in the face of illness, whether their own or that of a loved one. We welcome those that are looking for a new path in life, having returned from battle broken or not whole. And there are those who use the marathon as a tool to reform their lifestyle and introduce physical fitness. Many run to conquer a distance that once seemed unreachable, and you don't have to look very far to find the red, white, and blue wearing, flag-waving individuals who are simply at the Marine Corps Marathon to demonstrate their love of country. This patriotic practice has become an increasingly evident component of the Marine Corps Marathon over the past 10 years, since the attacks of September 2001. That the terrorist strike had an impact on the marathon demonstrates how far-reaching the tentacles of disruption were a decade ago. At that time, the Pentagon grounds provided a significant portion of the marathon mileage. And so when the Pentagon was hit just 47 days prior to the 26th